Hey guys, Jake here, coming at you with another math lesson today. Today we are going to continue our discussion about my new book, The Elite Guide to AP Calculus AB. If you want to go get yourself a copy, scan the QR code in the upper right hand corner or go check the link down in the description or pinned comment below. But today we're going to continue on to the next chapter. Last video we kind of wrapped up kind of the more basic techniques that you can use to find derivatives of functions. Well, today we're going to start the next chapter, which is more advanced differentiation techniques. And we're going to start that discussion by jumping into implicit differentiation. So I think this is actually going to be a topic that is going to be most easily explained by just simply jumping right into the problem. So let's go ahead and start with this one right here. Determine the slope of the tangent line to the circle x squared plus y squared equals 9 when x equals 1. So in this problem, we're being asked to find the slope of a tangent line to a given function. In this case, that function is a circle. That really isn't too important. What's important is that we're being asked to find the slope of the tangent line. So keep in mind, whenever you are being asked to find the slope of a function at a certain point, or the slope of a function in general, that should kind of trigger you to think we're probably going to be using a derivative here, right? So in this case, we, again, are going to be using a derivative. Implicit differentiation is just one way or one form of the derivative of a function, or, trying to calculate what the derivative or slope of that function is. So derivative and slope, those two things should kind of go hand in hand in your head. Whenever you're being asked to find the slope of a tangent line, typically derivative is going to be the way to do that. Well, the reason why we need to use implicit differentiation in this case, or in general, the reason why you need to use implicit differentiation, is if you have some function where it is either difficult or impossible to isolate your y, right? So a lot of times when you're asked to find the slope of a tangent line to a function, you're given some function that looks like y equals something with x's over here on the right side. Like maybe you have y equals 3x squared minus cosine x, let's just say, for example, right? So you have your y all by itself, you have a bunch of x's over here, right? So you've got your x's and your y's kind of separated on each side of the equation. Or not even your x's and y's, but all your x's over on one side, and then the other side is just y. So you just have y equals something with x. So if that is not possible to do, and if you have some sort of function where you actually can't just solve for y, or in this case, we have a function where we could solve for y, we could get the y isolated. Sometimes though, even if you can get the y isolated, it may be easier to do implicit differentiation. In this case, I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. Like, we could just solve this problem instead of using implicit differentiation by isolating the y and then taking a derivative like normal. But I think this is a good example to just show you how to actually do implicit differentiation with this example, because typically implicit differentiation is going to be used when you have x's and y's all kind of mixed together. Maybe you have x's and y's on both sides of your equation. Maybe you can kind of get all the y's on one side, but it's hard to solve to just get y equals something. There's different situations where you need to use implicit differentiation, but usually when you have, something like this, where you have like x's and y's, in this case we have y squared, so there's actually an additional kind of operation being done to the y. That kind of makes it so that implicit differentiation might be easier, even if it isn't absolutely necessary to use that method to find the derivative. But point is, using implicit differentiation, really what you're getting at is finding the derivative of y with respect to x. In this case, we have x's and y's. It may be other variables. Your function may be called something besides y. Your variable might be t or something like that instead of x. Point is, though, what you're doing is finding the slope of whatever your function is. In this case, your function is y, or I should say your dependent variable is y. So, how do we actually apply implicit differentiation? Well, the first step really is just to go ahead and take the derivative of your whole equation, both sides of your equation, with respect to whatever your independent variable, your input variable. Typically that's going to be x, not always, but typically that's going to be x. So we're essentially just going to take x squared plus y squared equals 9, take the derivative with respect to x, of both sides of your equation. So when you do that, what you want to be very careful about, when you're taking the derivative of some term that only contains your independent variable, in this case x, it's pretty straightforward. You're pretty much just going to use whatever, derivative rules we've learned about to find the derivative of that. So in this case, the derivative of x squared, you're just going to use power rule, right? So you're just going to move the 2 down in front, keep your x as x, subtract 1 from your power. 2 minus 1 is 1, so you just have 2x. Okay. Where it gets a little trickier is when you take the derivative with respect to x of something that contains y in it. You're not just going to be able to do that using power rule, chain rule, product rule, whatever. You have to do something extra. And the reason for that is, keep in mind, y is some function of x. Because y is your dependent variable, y is dependent on x. So just like what we kind of talked about a second ago, if you have y equals something with a bunch of x's in it, even though we haven't solved for y to be able to say, here's what y is, plug in some function of x in for y. We can't do that because we haven't solved for y, but we know that y represents some function of x. So instead of thinking of this as the derivative of y squared, think of finding the derivative with respect to x of some function, some unknown function of x, all squared. So we're taking the derivative of something all squared. So seeing this, we have some function kind of as our inside function, and then we have this something squared as our outside function. What does that make you think of? Chain rule, right? Chain rule is you have a composite function, a derivative of an inside function and an outside function. You have to use chain rule. So basically, whenever you're doing implicit differentiation, you're applying chain rule, because whenever you're taking the derivative of something that contains y's in it, what you're really doing is you're taking the derivative of some function of x that is being plugged into some other function, some other operations being done to that function of x. So typically that requires chain rule. So to do chain rule, we're going to essentially just take the derivative of the outside function. So in this case, the outside function is just the squared part. We're going to leave the inside function alone. So we're going to do power rule, right? Bring the 2 down in front. Keep our inside function the same. Keep y as y. Subtract 1 from our power, just making it 1. And then chain rule says, once you take the derivative of the outside function, leave the inside function alone, then multiply that by the derivative of the inside function. So now we need to multiply this by the derivative of y. But keep in mind, we're taking the derivative of y with respect to x. What is the derivative of y with respect to x? Well, in this case, because we don't know what y is, we actually don't know what the derivative of y with respect to x is. So the best we can really do is to just say the derivative of y with respect to x is just dy dx, which this symbol literally just means the derivative of y with respect to x. So dy dx essentially represents that derivative of our inside function of y. Again, we don't know what y is, we don't know what dy dx is. That's really not important. What's important is that we make sure that we keep straight what we're taking the derivative with respect to make sure that we don't, just what you don't want to do is just think of y squared the same as x squared. You don't want to just bring the 2 down in front, lower the power by 1, and call it good. It's not just 2y. Because y is this additional function of x, we need to apply chain rule and multiply that by dy dx. You'll see in another step or two kind of what we actually do with this, but for now, this is fine to just say the derivative of y with respect to x. Okay. Then we need to take the derivative of our right side of our equation. Well, the right side of our equation is just a constant, 9. The derivative of any constant, any number, is just 0. Okay. So once you've done your differentiation step, once you've taken the derivative of your whole equation, both sides, with respect to x, what you then want to do is start adding or subtracting terms. Typically, you might have to do other operations, multiplying, dividing, whatever, to move all of your dy dx terms to one side of your equation, and then all of your non-dy dx terms to the other side of our equation. So in this case, we really only have two terms in our equation, right? We have 2x plus 2y dy dx, and then 0, of course. Well, so we want to basically just add or subtract so that we have dy dx, all of our dy dx's. In this case, we only have one. A lot of times with these implicit differentiation problems, you'll have multiple dy dx terms. But we really can just move this non-dy dx term of 2x over to the right side of our equation. So we can just subtract 2x from both sides, giving us 2y dy dx equals negative 2x. Then once you've gotten all your dy dx terms over on one side of the equation, what you want to do if you have multiple dy dx terms is to then factor out your dy dx. So then you just have one single dy dx. In this case, we already only have one single dy dx. So we can just jump straight into dividing this other stuff that's being multiplied by it over to the other side of the equation. So we essentially just need to divide both sides by 2y. The 2y is going to cancel with the 2y on the left. The 2's are going to cancel on the right. And we're just going to get dy dx equals negative x over y. Okay? So then what we want to do is, well, keep in mind, let's actually go back to the problem. The problem asks us to find the slope of the tangent line to the circle. Well, the slope to the tangent line of the circle is just the slope, the rate of change of your output, your rise, over your run, your rate of change of the input. In other words, dy dx. dy dx essentially just represents the slope of the tangent line of your equation. Now in this case we have a formula for dy dx, right? It depends on x and y. So we need to actually figure out what x and y are to plug into this to find what our slope of our tangent line is at that point. Well, we know that x is 1. That was given. So we know that we're going to have negative 1 over something. Well, what is that something? Well, to figure that out, we have to go back to our original equation, x squared plus y squared equals 9. And we have to figure out what is y when x is 1. So we can plug 1 in for x and then solve for y. So minus 1 over to the other side, so y squared equals 8. And then y would be the positive or negative square root of 8. Which, you know, if you think about what the graph of this circle with a radius of 3 centered at the origin would be like this, and we would have x equals 1 would kind of cross at these 2 points. So we have positive root 8 as our y value here, and then negative root 8 as our y value here. The problem didn't really specify which one we want. Let's just go ahead and assume that we want the top half of the semicircle, the positive root 8. Again, technically the problem didn't really specify, so there, you know, really we could go either way and we would be correct, but let's just use the positive square root of 8 for this example. We would essentially just plug root 8 in for y. Then if we wanted to, we could rationalize this fraction, simplify the root 8. Basically that would be minus 1 over 2 root 2. And then we could multiply the top and bottom by root 2, giving us negative root 2 over 4. So this is equal to dy dx, which means this is the slope of the tangent line at the point x equals 1, y equals 2 root 2, or root 8. So this would be the slope of our tangent line. I guess either one of these is fine. Generally, you want to rationalize the denominator. So we probably want to go with the root 2 or negative root 2 over 4. But yeah, that would be your answer there. So hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to go check out my book, The Elite Guide to AP Calculus AB. Again, link is down in the description or pinned comment below. And we're going to continue going over the topics and different practice problems from that book in the coming weeks and months to help you get prepped for the AP Calc test coming up in the spring. So be sure to check back for more. Thanks and see you next time.